Okay, boys, today the plan is simple. I want to give you 3 ways to improve your resume. I also want to look at some examples and my own resume. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Let me just throw in a quick disclaimer. While I have had jobs in the past, I am still a student. So take my words with a grain of salt and do your own research. So, how do you make your resume better? I want to give you 3 things you can do today to make your resume better. 1, you should be thinking about keywords. In every industry, there are keywords, phrases that say you're in the know, and in mechanical engineering, they would be stuff like manufacturing, design of experiments, reliability, automation, computer-aided design, aerodynamics, CFD, FEA. All of these words have meaning, and if you can put them at the beginning of your paper, or if you can make them very easy to read, very quick to notice that you know them, then it will improve your chances of the hiring manager or the recruiter actually seeing them. Because if they're buried in text or if they're in long sentences, they will not get to them before they go to the next resume. Because you have to remember that these people have tens or hundreds of resumes to go through. So you have to make it very easy for them to know what you know. The second thing you have to think about is you have to think about readability. Like I said, they have tens or hundreds of resumes. So if your resume looks like a wall of text or huge paragraphs, they won't read those. They will get a sentence in at most. These people do not have the time or energy to decipher paragraphs of long stories. But my third point, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have stories behind every bullet, every skill, every workplace experience, every certificate, or everything that's even in progress. You need to have a story of why that thing matters, or how you came to acquire it, how you can use that. We'll get into some examples later on that. That being said, let's look at some example resumes. This is just a simple one I found online. I do not know these people. Please don't look it up. I assume that since they're online, they're already been anonymized. Critiquing this one. This one was actually a large inspiration for me. There's a lot of things I really like about this resume. As you can see here, from the outside, you can see that they have their name in very big letters. I love it when you put your name, your John Hancock, you could say, up at the top, and it's huge. Just states confidence. It has a very professional appeal to it in my mind. Going down from that, they put abstract. I'm not a fan of putting a abstract goal paragraph. I think that it's pretty common because people think it helps be relatable, but in most cases I don't believe that people are going to read these things, and they take up a lot of space that you can use for other things, so I generally just don't put it in there. Plus, if you put in your goals in there, we all know that our goals is just to make money. The recruiter knows you want the money. You know you want the money. You don't need to pretend that hard that you don't want the money. Then putting in professional experience. What I love about this resume is the color scheme. Keeping a color scheme that helps you break down the sections is super useful. And see here, they have professional experience, very good. They have all other things stated and locations, very good. Bullets, very good. What you also will notice is the way that they word things here. They prepared conceptual development and delivered design standard. You can see the keywords there. Prepared, development, detailed, standards, all words that have meaning in our field, or at least the recruiter can see that they have something interesting to provide. So moving on to the next one. So here's a second resume. Now that we have a better understanding of what makes a good resume, let's look at this one and try to understand what makes it good and what makes it bad. What I like about it, you can see that each section is marked off very clearly, that projects is very separate from experience, which works well. Again, everything is dated well, it's pretty well organized from that standpoint. However, from a larger perspective, you can see that it is not very readable. You can see my resume peeking through over there. I don't know why the program's doing that. But yeah, so it's all in one color. It's kind of very blocky. It's small font, so it generally doesn't lead to being super enjoyable to look at. So if I have anything to critique on this, I would say name should be on the left. Make a block for all your socials, all your details and whatnot, and also add colors to these things. You don't have to have the 2 columns, but I do like it, so you can also incorporate that on the more technical side. Okay, lastly, we have my resume. It's been redacted for obvious reasons, but I want to talk about those 3 points I covered at the beginning. 1, keywords. You can see I put a lot of effort into using words like roadmap and digital manufacturing and analyze and documented. These are all words that help me describe to the recruiter very quickly that I have some knowledge on industrial practices. 2, readability. You'll notice that I put in a good amount of effort that everything is colored using bolding and font sizes so that everything kind of has a flow and you can see where things belong. All of this stuff in the right column easily is noted that it goes into that header. Everything that is in this bold section can be easily attributed to where it goes. And third, stories. Every single thing on here, if they ask me about that bullet, I can provide a story on that bullet point. So for an example, if they ask me about, just pick something at random, the term paper for that class, I can give an example of the paper. I might even have it on me, and I can tell them a story about what it was like working on it, what tools I used, what my experience was. I had many difficulties. I worked in a team, so we had collaboration issues and problems, group dynamic problems. So you need to have a prepared example of what happened. And we can get more into this later. I want to do another video on why stories are so OP when you're doing interviews. We'll get into that later. Hopefully this was helpful a little bit. If it was, then you know what to do. If it wasn't, then leave a comment. Tell me why I'm dumb. You know, I mentioned before I have a long way to go, so I would be very appreciative of any kind of comments or feedback that help me improve. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed or learned something. Okay, bye.